What's up, guys? This is Braden with Lightning Canine. We got Reese here. Let's go over how to teach a reliable recall. So that's come when you call your dog. In my opinion, it's one of the most important commands, right? Nobody wants a dog that blows them off, right? You want to know that your dog's going to come back to you when you call them. She's all over the place. All right, it's especially important if you have any off-leash goals with your dog, right? And everyone wants to have their dog off leash, right? No one says, I want to have my dog on a leash forever, right? So from a puppy, beginning any training, in my opinion, is one of the most important commands that we teach our dogs. All right, it's also a command that a lot of people struggle with, right? And it's actually easier than you think, right? We have to just teach it the right way. A lot of people just think the dog inherently knows how to come back to you when you call them, right? They don't consider that we have to actually go through a process of intentionally teaching the command the right way so that, it's a learned behavior and that it's trained and that the dog actually knows fully what's expected of them when you ask them to come back to you. All right, so I'm going to give you a step-by-step of how I start teaching a recall, some common mistakes that people make, and how to avoid them, and also what to do instead. All right, so what you'll need, the main thing that most people miss, underutilized to teach a behavior, you definitely want to start on the leash. So I'm going to use a 15-foot long line. It's Reese. 15 or 20 foot is good to start. Another good thing to use that can be beneficial that I like to use specifically for recall is a retractable leash. All right, so you hear a lot of bad things about flexies, retractables. If we're in the right environment, using it the right way, and specifically for a recall, especially if you're not used to handling a longer leash like this, because it can get in the way, right? It's convenient sometimes to use a flexi if you have the right dog. If you're just in your yard like this, the backyard, and you're training the behavior, and it's convenient, obviously, because it comes back with the dog. You don't have to worry about the leash getting tangled. Obviously, you're not going to take an untrained dog out in a busy area around distractions on a flexi, right? And you want some high value food rewards or whatever's rewarding to the dog, all right? For some, it may be praise. For some, it may be their favorite toy. You want whatever is going to be most rewarding to the dog. Some dogs aren't into food. Some dogs are really into food where just their kibble may be fine, but you want something that makes the dog really want to come back to you each time, right? I'm using freeze-dried beef liver right now. So for most dogs, you want something that is convenient to use so you can get a lot of the reps, most of the time food, and something that's a little bit more rewarding than their average kibble. Some dogs, they're really food driven. You can use their kibble so you can get a lot of reps without, them getting too many treats. All right, so I'm going to show you how we would start a step-by-step with the long line. So this is going to take some practice if you're not used to it, getting used to, handling this efficiently to where it's not in the way and working against you, and where, it goes smooth. And she is really bad about biting the long line, so we'll see how this goes. But you want it to be, smooth and efficient to where it's not getting in your way, working against you. The flexi, good option to avoid that altogether. All right, so first thing we got to do is we just got to start moving to where she starts walking again, and she's going to get in a position where I have enough room to call her. All right. You want to train the response of a recall to be they're out away from you, free. The dog is, not paying attention to you. They hear the command, they turn back, run towards you. So you wouldn't want to start training it when the dog's too close to you or when they're already looking at you like this. No, drop it. So I'm just going to start moving a bit to where eventually I will find a moment where she's out away and I can practice calling her. Reese, here. Girl. Right? And you can use, and then when she gets to me, I reward her. All right? You can use whatever command you want. The main thing is that you're consistent with it, and that at first, you're making sure you get success when you use it. That's where the leash comes into play. All right? You never want to just hope your dog will come back and just try to start calling them without anything to make sure it will happen. That's how we teach the dog to ignore us, right? And we want to make sure that there's some meaning attached to it every time she hears, Reese, here. I can guide back with the leash, right? And then when she responds, she gets the high value reward. Break. Right? You want to start adding in some command that lets her know that she's free. So your dog needs to have something that, a release command that lets them know you can leave me again now, right? A habit sometimes people will make is the dog comes in, gets the reward, flies right back out. We don't want that. A tip with the long line, even if it takes a minute, you don't have to rush this. All right, you see how I'm waiting for the perfect moment, and this is especially important when you're first teaching it. You want to make sure the long line is situated. See, I told you she's bad about this. You want to make sure the long line's situated to where you can use it to guide her back if you need to. Reese, here. So that just means you're making sure that it's not tangled under her feet or anything. You have the right leverage to use it if need be. Break. I've already done a good bit of recall work with her, so I'm not having to use the leash too much. Here's what sometimes I'll do. A lot of times this will happen when you're first starting, especially once your dog figures out they're going to get something good. They'll start clinging to you because they know the rewards with you, and she knows we're working on recall now, so she's like, I'm going to stay close, to avoid having to do too much work to get the treat, basically. Sometimes, if that happens, a little trick you can do is throw a treat out while she's going to find it, long line situated. Just like that. Reese, here. And then when she's away from you, you can practice getting in the reps. Good. Break. Every dog is different, and sometimes when you first start, you may find that your dog has little to no response, even when they hear you and even if you start guiding the leash. That happens sometimes. You want to, in that moment, utilize your movement and your praise, your voice, give a little encouragement. So, Reese, here. Ooh-wee. See how movement is going to draw the dog in? It's very motivating to them. So, most of the time, and then your reward. Break. Most of the time with your leash guidance, your movement, your praise, your voice, and the rewards, you're using everything at your expense to help teach the behavior. That will be enough to start building a good response when they hear the command. So that's the gist of how you would start teaching the behavior. Obviously, there's steps to advance it to where, you're being able to recall your dog fully off the leash around distractions. I'll make another video of that at some point. But this is the baseline start of how you would just train the behavior, how you would teach your dog that when they hear that command, it means to run back to you. Some mistakes that you want to avoid are you don't want to get in the habit of calling your dog too much before they fully know what it means. All right, so early on, it's only going to be when you're fully prepared to make sure the behavior can happen. All right, so that means a leash on, you got your rewards, you're doing a formal training session like we're doing now. You don't want to do a couple sessions and then think, oh, they're doing good, and then we're just casually in the backyard, they're running around, you don't have a leash on, and you try to just give them a recall. You don't want to do that too quickly, right? Because then there's a chance your dog may start rehearsing not responding to you the right way. Right? Don't remove the leash too soon in general, right? you'll never have, enough reps on the leash. There's nothing wrong with going a long time with just building up a really good response with the leash on. The leash ensures success, and dogs learn through repetition, right? So as many successful reps as you can get, that's always beneficial. You also don't want to stop rewarding your dog too soon, right? So we will go through a process where obviously we don't want to have to be rewarding the dog every single time we give them a recall, but you never want to fully take it away to where the dog thinks, okay, now there's nothing in it for me. All right, so the same way we want to continually reinforce with the leash, eventually the e-collar, we want to keep some form of positive reinforcement in the picture for the dog as well. Food rewards, play, toy, whatever it is. So never fully take that away, and definitely don't try to fade it out too soon.